Dax McCarty is here to talk World Cup. We're starting in Kansas City. Earlier in the day, Mbappe had passed Messi for all-time World Cup goals. By the end of the day, Messi had tied Miroslav Klose for the most goals ever. 3 goals on the night, 16 total in his World Cup career. Argentina starts their title defense with an emphatic victory. Here was Henry's reaction.
We said before the game that this guy and the guy that we're going to see tomorrow, they're both on the moon. And he reminded us why he is who he is. And Argentina also reminded us that they are the oldest. Let's not forget about them. But Leo is just different. It's just a different topic.
Okay, so here, oldest players to score a hat trick, it's Messi and Ronaldo. We're going to have more on Ronaldo's pressure in a bit. But first, we're going to go to your hometown, Nick, your reaction to Messi having a GOAT-esque performance.
Listen, I am very happy that my hometown got to experience that. Not just because it's my hometown, but Kansas City is, in my opinion, I think in everyone's opinion, one of the best soccer cities in America. In my opinion, I think it might be the best. I think the ratings for this tournament are continuing to back that up. And for them to see the greatest player ever have, statistically speaking, you know, his greatest World Cup performance, obviously the final last year is his actual greatest World Cup performance, is just unbelievable. And I'm going to let you guys focus more on what he did yesterday. I want for the audience to recognize how unlikely this part of Messi's story existing is. Leo Messi was already in the GOAT conversation, and people thought, yeah, but the World Cups have been tough. Right. It was the biggest criticism of him. When they made the final in 2014, he was so heavily criticized, he briefly retired. There was a time when Diego Maradona, the previous greatest Argentinian player ever, criticized him and said he cares more about Real Madrid than he does about Argentina.
Barcelona.
Or I'm sorry, he cares more about Barcelona in Spain than he does about playing for Argentina. 1 year ago, not today, but 1 year ago after Argentina's first World Cup match, it looked like this was going, they lost to Saudi Arabia, and it looked like, okay, this is just going to be the only yeah but on his resume. Since then, they've played 8 games. He has scored 10 goals. He arguably has, you know, on the Mount Rushmore of greatest performances in a final, just tied Miroslav Klose's record. Just in the last 10 games, he has more World Cup goals than Maradona or Cristiano Ronaldo in their careers. He now has as many as Ronaldo and Maradona combined in their careers. It is such, for one of the greatest athletes ever, to, at this stage of his career, go from World Cup yeah but to being, if we show the graphic dust, the all-time leader. This is what his resume was outside of the World Cup. That's why he was one of the greatest ever.
Solid.
But now you add to it that this is his World Cup resume. He's first in tournaments, first in games, first in goals. 1 more assist, he'll be first there, first in goals and assists. I don't know that anybody could have said they saw it coming, and he just continued the heater he was on in last year's World Cup.
He continues to get better with age, which is astounding. A lot of people thought when he came to Major League Soccer, that was an acknowledgement of, all right, I'm going to do it for my family. I'm going to ride off into the sunset. And he has done nothing but get better year after year. He's won back-to-back MVPs in Major League Soccer. And he has been emphatic in his performance last night. And Brew, we joked before the show. I said, "Hey, do you have the extra neck brace for me to wear?" I mean, I am getting slaughtered on social media from the Argentinian.
But that wasn't unfair that you thought that they would manage his minutes.
The whole reason I thought that Algeria had a chance to, you know, spring an upset, aka a draw with Argentina in the first game, it was all predicated on Messi's health. Right? He was injured before coming into the tournament. He played 20 minutes in their warm-up game and looked fantastic. But I wasn't sure if Scaloni was going to say, let's manage this, let's ease him in. And Algeria was quite good, actually, in the lead-up to the World Cup. They beat the Netherlands 1-0. They tied Uruguay 0-0. Defensively looked sound. And so, yes, you know what? I'm taking heat right now. I'll take it. But guess what? Lionel Messi is the greatest player that's ever lived. And he is just continuing to add to that, to add to his legacy, with last night kind of being the exclamation point on behind the World Cup final yesterday. One of his greatest performances ever. Argentina, certainly in the form Messi's in right now, look like one of the favorites. Again.
Quickly before I go, because you said getting better with age.
Yeah.
Do you mean that, like, or is it he's still a great player even at his advanced age? Do you really mean he's getting better? Because Nick kind of brought up how he's had this surge the last 2 World Cups.
At the age of 38, about to be 39, I believe, in a week, he is still one of the best players in the world. You can make an argument he is the best player in the world still. But he has had to adjust. He has had to change his game up a little bit. He's not the same player he was at Barcelona, where he would go on these mazy dribbling runs and he would dribble by 5 or 6 players, and he had this incredible stamina and burst to be able to do that at the highest level at 90 minutes. In Major League Soccer, he's had to adjust his game. He doesn't press as much defensively. He conserves his energy to be able to attack and to do what he does best. And he always makes the right decision for what the game requires. If the game requires him to be a passer, a playmaker, if the game requires him to find teammates because he's being double and triple teamed, he will do that. He can make the passes that lead to goals. But if the game requires him to be a goal scorer and put the team on his back and say, I will take responsibility, he absolutely does that. The one thing that Argentina does that is so impressive, they all still play for him. They play for their country, but Messi is Argentina. He is the most impressive thing about yesterday was not the fact that they completely dominated Algeria. It was the fact that there was no complacency that has set in. They won the World Cup, which was the pinnacle of Messi and Argentina, and yet they look like they're still hungry to do it again, repeat. It was a tremendous performance.
So, see if I have this right. Older, but you could argue in moments, in huge moments, you'd rather have him more than anyone else out there. Conserves his energy, doesn't go on these impressive athletic runs anymore, but still skillful. The moment's never too big, and when the lights are the brightest, he's going to come through. It is very LeBron-esque.
Yeah. No, I was thinking this, not
when
just as during our conversation, but even watching the game yesterday and just looking at his career, guy in the GOAT conversation who is just defying Father Time. And I was going to say this, and it does tie into LeBron. Before I even get to Messi fully, yesterday, and we'll get to Mbappe, of course, yesterday had to be one of the greatest days in the history of the World Cup. I'll say at the group stage. I won't go to the later stages, even though I guess you could argue that. But you got 3 superstars, all at different stages. Haaland in his first World Cup at 25. Mbappe, 27, smack dab in the middle of his prime. And Messi, supposedly toward the end as an older guy in the GOAT conversation. And all 3 of them delivered. Like I was saying, this would be like a Christmas Day when the NBA used to own Christmas Day before the NFL. And Wemby has a great game. And then Brunson has a great game. And then LeBron comes in and throws up a triple-double. Like that was phenomenal. And it almost, I guess this probably wasn't the case, but it felt to me like, wow, did Messi see Mbappe go out there?
He
passed
zero question about it.
He passed him on the all-time goals list.
Right, we were talking about Mbappe. Yesterday on the show, we're like, Mbappe is going to catch Klose. Miroslav Klose at some point in this tournament. You said it.
Say it.
Thank you. No, but we didn't even acknowledge that Messi was only 3 behind. Mbappe's was 4 behind Klose, but he's so much younger and
and so had done it in so fewer games.
Right, and so but I think, Brew, what you're saying he probably didn't. I think he definitely did. I think he saw Mbappe do that and say, all right, let's see.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
And let's see if he can. The odds are, when it's all said and done, it will be Mbappe's record.
In the future.
In the future, but Messi could own it for the next 4 years.
He could, but
if he
this is actually, I think, in the macro of the entire World Cup, we now have, I think, a nice little individual rally or rivalry between Messi and Mbappe to see who's. I think they're both going to catch Klose.
They're both going to
this
pass
season,
no
right?
question.
Who's going to wind up as the all-time World Cup goals leader at the end of this tournament? I think Mbappe
I think that's a fascinating
is going to have a lot to
and
say
it's
about
not just
that.
about that. It's also who is actually going to win the Golden Boot at this World Cup, because Erling Haaland is going to have a say in it, as is Harry Kane. You have just this wealth
I can't get over Harry Kane.
Brilliant attackers. No, now I've already had one bad take, but I will say the Golden Boot race in this World Cup is going to be one for the ages.
But
it's going to be fantastic.
It really did feel like, that France and Argentina playing on the same day, Mbappe and Messi just picked. It was like the third half of the World Cup final, where Messi scored 2 goals, Argentina wins, Mbappe has the hat trick in the final. So those two guys in their last 2 World Cup games have 5 goals each. You know what I mean? And so, like, and that is when the all-time record for total World Cup goals is 16. For those two guys to have 5 each in their last 2 games is just unbelievable. So I think that's exactly what's happening.
For like baseball, I'd be hitting like 300 home runs.
All right, quickly, I want to get off the goal scoring and talk about the potential card that wasn't from Messi. It's 1-0. He's already put one in the back of the net. So the 31st minute, around the 31st minute, what was your take on this takedown from Messi?
Well, Argentina fans, now that we've had 5-6 minutes of kissing, making up, and you guys like me again, this is a red card from Lionel Messi.
Red card.
Yeah, and there is a lot of factors that go into this. Excessive force, intentional, not intentional, that doesn't matter. That is quite honestly the definition of endangering the safety of an opponent.
So the hands up that you don't put intention.
But it's because he knows. He knows that is something, whether you mean to do it or not is irrelevant. The fact that it's raking the studs down the back of the calf, the force, he actually does it, but then he pulls out. He knows that he makes a mistake, but he knows he could potentially.
So why not yellow card? I agree. I think everybody sees it.
It couldn't be like most referees. You're going to get 50% of referees that would say, yeah, that probably deserves to be a red card, and then the other 50% will say, well, he pulled out, even though he raked down the back of his calf, it wasn't excessive force. I do think that's endangering the safety of an opponent, and the fact that the VAR, didn't even call the ref over to look at it is a little bit surprising. So I think, Messi's a little bit fortunate.
But a yellow.
That's the question.
Is it
surprising?
I hate to just keep crossing sports, but I put it in the same exact bucket that I put the Wemby shove on Brunson, which is there is no harm in a yellow card there. There's no harm in a flagrant 1 in that, which is what I was advocating for. Now, you have to be more careful.
The problem is the terminology. You're endangering the safety of an opponent right there, studs to the back of a guy's calf.
Yeah, that was probably, that was probably worse than Wemby.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Except one's intentional, one's not.
Yeah,
Like,
the unintentionalness
but the intentionality of it doesn't matter. It doesn't factor into it.
And it's getting on the calf. Is that unintentional? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing that, I don't think.
He's not doing it on purpose. There's absolutely no world where Messi is meaning to do that, but that doesn't matter. That should not factor into a referee decision. And so you would again see 50% of referees reffing this game would say that's a red card.
I know we have other stuff to get to. Can I?
No, I think this is fascinating.
I understand you obviously know far better than me how the actual rules are written. If it truly, it's outrageous in my opinion for it not to matter what the intent was in this regard. It certainly should matter if you did try to do it. You understand what I mean? Like
the penalty should be like you spiked me earlier, and I'm going to purposely in the 89th minute.
If I am in we can again, sorry to cross the sports stuff, but the Wemby elbow to Naz Reid. Sometimes there are elbows that forceful that are accidental. Yeah. And those
one where he caught Cat.
Right.
Later.
And those and it's just logically in my head, I have way more, it's not that those aren't a penalty, but I have way more grace for that than when someone did it intentionally. I do think Messi got obviously a Messi benefit of the doubt, but I think a yellow card would have been the perfect kind of compromise there. I don't understand why he got nothing.
And I wouldn't have had a massive issue with a yellow card there, but when you slow it down, when you factor in where it was on the back of the calf, it is endangering the safety of an opponent. I think Messi gets a little bit fortunate here. He doesn't even get a yellow card, which is insane. Yeah. But if I am trying to win the ball, and if I'm late to a slide tackle because I'm playing against Mbappe and he gets to the ball before me and I break his ankle, it does not matter that I did not intend to do that. You have to have control of your.
So
you
now,
have to have control of your
if it
body.
was reversed, and an Algerian player spiked Messi
and didn't get a card, you would have all of Argentina
even
right.
if it was unintentional, then that would make sense.